Ms. Ostrowski, please call the roll.
Yes, good evening. Ms. Hardiman?
Present.
Ms. Myers?
Present.
Dr. Rosello?
Present.
Ms. Greiner?
Present.
Mr. Peters?
Present.
Mr. Kozire?
Present.
And Mr. Tripp.
Here. If you would please stand and join me in a moment of silence, followed by the pledge. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve our agenda?
I move approval of our agenda as has been presented.
Thank you.
Second?
I will second.
A motion and a second. Thank you, Mr. Peters. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes from the regular business meeting of May 21st, 2024.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the minutes? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This brings us to our public participation portion of the meeting. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board regarding agenda-related items or other matters of concern. We do have one member of the public that put in a request. Mr. Jack Northrup, come on up.
I actually was originally planning to speak to you in May, but I swear I'm not causing bad weather every time I want to get out of here. This year, part of my duty as an 8th grade teacher at Kern was to work with the students on their Zello 4-year plans. And I noticed a pattern. We have a lot of kids who want to take advanced art classes like sculpture on one path, and then we have students who are in the D+1 program going into welding. And we're just talking, and something gets overlapped. And it kind of triggers some interesting conversations when we're going through the 4-year plans. Some of you may know, some of you may not, that at Kern, the 8th grade commons is split across 2 floors. The lower commons has a handrail around 3 of the 4 sides. On one of the sides, it's just a handrail. It doesn't have a mesh, it doesn't have any paneling. And to me, I think this would be a great opportunity for us to really fortify the pathway and have our sculptural students design a panel that will be manufactured by our welding students. Now, this is a big thing, otherwise I would send this out as emails, but literally I didn't know all the people to include. Not only board members, but people at the side tables and principals. It was big. So jumping into this mode kind of is a little bit of a jump. We could have the sculpture students produce several different scale models, designs, have it voted on, maybe even make it a competition. Of course, we'd have to have buildings and facilities check things over, because we don't want to accidentally make a sculpture that looks kind of like the 24th Street Bridge, aka the dead Transformer, which would be kind of a stabby thing made out of metal to have in middle school. So again, I just want to throw this idea out there as some way we can really fortify not only our middle school to high school pathway, but also the middle school, high school to D+1 pathway. So, if you have any questions, drop them in. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Is there any other member of the public who wishes to speak tonight? Seeing as there is none, we will move on. Next up is our superintendent's report. Dr. Merlo.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. At this time, I'd like to invite Ms. Colmine to the podium. Tonight, we will be recognizing some pretty incredible students who have received recognition at the state level. So, Ms. Colmine, the floor is yours.
Thank you and
Good evening.
I appreciate this opportunity. It's one of my favorite times every month. We present our students for this month in June. I'd like to invite Mr. Tripp and Dr. Miller to the front. So we're going to start with all-state soccer. Tonight I have the honor of recognizing an Abraham Lincoln boys soccer player who will be a senior next year. This soccer player led the Lynx in scoring this past season. This Lynx set a single-season school record with 19 goals. His play earned him second-team 4A All-State Boys Soccer Team recognition as a forward by the Iowa High School Soccer Coaches Association. I didn't know what that was. So congratulations to Abraham Lincoln's Jonathan Amador for his second-team All-State and Star Award recipient in the month of June. And thank you, Mr. Novotny, our Athletic and Activities Director from Abraham Lincoln, for being here tonight. Okay. So next we have our Abraham Lincoln and Thomas Jefferson State track meet qualifiers. I'm going to start with those who are in attendance, and then I will name those who are not, because it is summer. We have, well, there are some baseball games. I don't know if they're happening, but we have some baseball games, some softball games, and also some people on vacation. All right. So in order to qualify for the 4A boys and girls Iowa State school track meet, an athlete must place in the top 2 finishers in the event at the district qualifier meet, or be in the next 12 best performances statewide from qualifying meet place winners. So first, from Thomas Jefferson, I would like to recognize Caden Hamilton. Caden, come on up. Caden participated in the 1,600-meter sprint medley relay, placing 22nd. And then, of course, we have Mr. Luke Peterson, our Athletic Director and Activities Director at Thomas Jefferson, here tonight. So our state track meet qualifiers, we have 2 here tonight from Abraham Lincoln. The first one is Aiden Perez, and Aiden participated in the 4A boys shot put. His throw of 50 feet, 3.75 inches was a personal best, making the finals and finishing 9th out of 24 total throwers. Awesome. Excellent. Congratulations. And then also from Abraham Lincoln, we have Aubrey Sandbooth, and she participated in the 4A girls long jump for the 2nd year in a row, and she finished 21st out of 24th.
All 3 of you. Thank you.
Everyone knows me, I avoid all the pictures. That was a convincing yes.
Jared's feeling a little short back here. We may have to do something, right?
We got our long jumper and our.
Bring him a box or something.
Oh, my hands, Karen.
Okay, and then, we got a few more, sorry, you know me. Okay, so this is a first for us, and this is really exciting. But Brandon Bowen, he also was a Thomas Jefferson student who qualified for the state track meet. He's not able to be here tonight, but his mom is here on his behalf, so come on down to accept his star. And Brandon finished 11th in state in the 400-meter hurdles, second year in a row in qualifying. He also participated in the 110-meter hurdles and the 4x400-meter relay and the 1,600-meter sprint medley relay. Wow. So congratulations, Brandon and Mom. And then I'm just going to name 3 quick names from Thomas Jefferson. They're not able to be here tonight, but we had Vic Atupra, who also participated in the state track meet. Jordan Diwali also participated, and Nick Anderson also participated at the state track meet, all for Thomas Jefferson High School. And then one last one, and Mr. Luke Peterson is here. He's going to accept the star for this student. The student and parent knows this, and they'll pick it up at TJ High School. But we did have a student that competed in the Skills USA sheet metal competition, and that was Brandon Masick, and Brandon placed 3rd and qualified for the National Skills and Leadership Competition. It's actually Braden, sorry. Braden was the only Skills USA member in the Council Bluffs Community School District to place at the state level this year, and he's only a sophomore. And so we really look forward to what the next 2 years will bring for us. And so you're going back with quite a few stars.
am.
So congratulations.
All of these, okay, okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations once again to our outstanding athletes. Continue being great, and we'll see you next year.
And thank you, Ms. Comine, and what great students we have in the Council Bluffs Schools. You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye. At this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Tracy Matthews to join us. This will be our Student Achievement Report for the month of June. Dr. Matthews will be presenting on the Spring 2024 NWEA MAP results as soon as Mr. Stiles gets that pulled up. So, Dr. Matthews, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo, and good evening. It is my pleasure to share with you the results from our Spring 2024 NWEA MAP results tonight. This work is directly aligned to District Strategic Goal 1, improve academic achievement. It seems to be. I apologize. So this is aligned directly to District Strategic Goal 1, improve academic achievement, and we do look at 3 different metrics related to this goal. The first is looking at those students who are scoring in those top 3 bands, the average, or high band on MAP, math, and reading. As a reminder, our goal for the end of this school year was 60% of our students performing in those top 3 bands, and that will increase to 65% for next year. We also look at those individual growth targets, and those are the predetermined growth targets that are set by NWEA MAP to say this is the amount of expected growth a student should have based on their current level of performance and their peers. Our goal is that 60% of students will achieve individual growth targets on MAP, math, and reading, and that is a stretch goal. 50% of students is what is expected because it is normed, so that half will meet that goal and half will not because it's a comparison of peers. And then finally, because we believe that growth of every student is important, we have that third metric of 100% of our students showing some growth in their MAP data. So this first table is just an overview of those three metrics for both areas in math and reading. As a reminder, our goal there of 60% in those top three bands. In math, we are proud to say we exceeded that goal with nearly 63% of our students ending in those top three bands. So great growth and progress there. In reading, we were a little shy of that goal with 58.34%, but we did show growth and improvement from fall to spring and even from last spring to this spring. Again, we wanted 60% of our students to achieve those growth targets, and again, we exceeded that goal in the area of mathematics with 66.36% meeting those growth targets, meeting or exceeding. In the area of reading, we were at 51.15%, so again, above that national average, that norm that is expected, but not quite to our stretch goal. And then finally, for students demonstrating any growth, our goal is 100%. We had 88.8% in math and 78.82% in reading. And for the first time ever, we had one grade level hit that 100% goal. So I'll share more about that in a minute. So starting with a high point of mathematics, we had an increase from fall to spring of 7.63% more students in those top three bands. That is truly remarkable, probably the highest that we've seen to date. And we'll look at where those increases happened. So this shows our longitudinal data over time with our first assessment window in the spring of 2018 all the way through our current assessment window in spring of 2024. You may notice and remember we did have those lower fall scores. They reset the algorithms this year and hadn't tested them on that fall window, but we've more than recovered and have our highest spring data results to date. So very pleased and excited to see the tremendous growth from when we first began to now. Another way to look at that is pulling out just those spring results to see how we've been ending the year each year since we began administering this assessment. And you can see very nice steady increases each spring of about 2 to 3%, which is really sustainable and showing that incremental growth that we feel we can maintain and continue on that trajectory. This graph really shows that breakdown by grade level, so starting with kindergarten through 10th grade and then our district average on the far end. A few things to point out here is that every grade level is at or above 50% in those top three bands. 6th grade levels and the district average are at or above 60%. And although you can't see it on this graph, our 7th through 10th grade has a higher percent proficient this spring compared to last spring. So still pleased to see that those grade levels are increasing in their proficiency, and ending the year with kindergarten near that 80% mark sets that strong foundation. This graph shows the cohort data, so that teal line is the percent of students scoring in those top three bands in the fall assessment window, compared to the purple bars showing the percentage of students in those top three bands in the spring assessment window. What you can see here is just a lot of great celebrations again. In kindergarten through 8th grade and our district as a whole, we did meet or exceed that 60% goal. 7th grade, it is at that 59.62, so we'll count that one in as 60%. Really incredible, we had 4 grade levels at 70% or more. Oh, I apologize, I was on my wrong slide. Double-digit increases at 5 grade levels. So in kindergarten, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, they had double-digit increases from fall to spring, ranging anywhere from 10% to 18.5% more students in those top three bands. Sorry about that. Our second metric is looking at those growth targets. So the purple bars are showing the percentage of students who met those growth targets. That teal line is showing that 50% norm, and then The orange line is our stretch goal of 60%. And what you can see here is that those grades K-8 met the 60% goal, and that we had 4 grade levels that had 70% or more meet their growth targets. And look at that third grade, including them with 80.44% of their students meeting those growth targets. Truly incredible. I also wanted to take a look at the percentage of students meeting growth targets by grade level this year on purple bars compared to last year. Here we'll see a higher percentage of students met growth targets in every grade level this year compared to last school year. Kindergarten was the only grade to exceed 60% last year. This year we have 9 grade levels exceeding that 60%, so very pleased with those results. And here again, we had some grade levels with more than 20% more students meeting their growth targets this year compared to last year, looking at 3rd and 4th grades there. And then, of course, our third metric is that percentage of students making any growth by grade level, starting with kindergarten through grade 10. This is typical of what we've seen in the past with a lower percentage of students at those higher grade levels because the band for their RIT scores and their expected growth is so much smaller. Sometimes they're only expected to make 1 RIT score of growth, and it's really difficult to maintain that, but they are improving there. The true standout and celebration is we can proudly say 100% of the first grade students in our district showed growth from fall to spring. Every single student in the area of mathematics. And kindergarten was not far behind with 99.46%. So very excited about the strong foundation in those primary grade levels. Again, this is showing any growth this year compared to any growth last year with that teal line. And what you can see here is the percentage of students making any growth at each grade level was the same or higher this year compared to last year. And we saw the greatest increases at 6th, 8th, and 10th grades. So even though those are more challenging grade levels to see that growth, they are making a positive impact there. So we'll switch gears and talk about reading. And we did see another increase here for the second consecutive year from fall to spring with a 1.21% increase. Again, this is our longitudinal data beginning with the spring 2018 assessment window going through our current one. This is a little bit more level than what we were seeing in the area of mathematics, but it is the highest spring assessment we've seen since the spring of 2021, so we're on the right trajectory. And we've often seen, you can look across time, a drop from winter to spring, and we were able to maintain our trajectory and improve on that. So we increased incrementally from fall to winter, winter to spring. So we're pleased to see that's heading in the right direction. And that is with a new implementation in half of our grade levels for K-5, implementing a new curriculum and resource. And so we were really pleased to not see that implementation dip we sometimes see with a new resource. Again, looking at the table for where we've concluded each spring since we began administering the MAP assessment, you don't see quite that same pattern of trends that we saw in math with the 2 to 3% increases, but we do see that we are continuing to uptick from 2022 to 23 to 24 and want to continue that momentum into 2025. Again, looking at reading proficiency at each grade level, K-10 and the district average, all grade levels but one are at or above that 50% mark with 6th grade approaching, and 5 grade levels are over 60%, our goal, compared to 4 grade levels last year. So continuing to make improvements and progress toward that 60% mark. When we lay that cohort data over top of the bars, again, that line is showing how these same students performed in the fall of 2023. This is similar to the last 2 years with great gains in 2nd and 8th grades. We did see a decrease in kindergarten again, and that is common. It was a smaller decrease this year than what we have seen in the past. And really exciting is we usually typically see a decrease in 1st grade as well, but this year we saw a 3.13% increase in 1st grade. And I really attribute that to the professional growth and development around science of reading and how that works with our resource to really meet those foundational skills and set students up for success. We will continue to make adjustments and work on keeping students motivated for this last assessment of the school year following their state assessment in March. The data for our second metric on growth targets is on this graph. Again, those bars are showing by grade level the percentage of students who met those growth targets. And the teal line is again at that 50% expected rate. The 60% stretch goal is in orange. Last year, we had 3 grade levels above the 50% national average. And this year, we doubled that. We now have 6 grade levels above that 50% national average. 2 grade levels are at or above our 60% stretch goal, and last year there was 1, so again, we doubled that metric. And we do note that our 2 lowest grades currently are 6th and 9th grade, and we are going to continue to support those transition years as we focus on strategic goal 3, and we've been working on some plans to monitor and intervene sooner for those students, and you'll hear more about that tomorrow. This is, again, that percentage of students meeting their MAP growth targets fall to spring this year compared to fall to spring last year, which is what that pink line is showing. And we did see significant increases in 1st, 3rd, 4th, 7th, and 10th grades. So we're very pleased to see that those students are making more growth this year compared to last year at those grade levels. And we improved or maintained the percent of students meeting growth targets in all but 9th grade, again, working to address that through our transition plan on strategic goal 3. And then we have the percentage of students making any growth, very similar to math, higher at those primary and elementary grade levels, dropping off more in the secondary levels here. Exciting about this is kindergarten through 3rd grade, we're all over 90% in students making any growth. And again, that 1st grade group, you remember from math, they were at 99.28%, so very close to our 100% goal in 1st grade. And any growth compared to last year, which is what the pink line represents, we had a higher percentage of students make growth at all but 3 grade levels this year in the area of reading compared to last year. Now we'll take a look at science. We did see a decrease in science with a 1.99% drop compared to fall. What I will note here is we are coming in at 59.13% proficient overall in those top 3 bands, and we did increase 1.58% from winter to spring. So we had our fall scores, took a little drop, and then rebounded a little bit from winter to spring. So we were pleased to see that recovery, and that will show on our next graph here, where we took that drop in those last from fall to winter and back up in spring. This has been our more consistent area, pretty level, and it is an area that we are going to invest more time and focus next year. Again, looking at our spring results, showing that this has been a consistent area for us. We've hovered kind of in that 59 to 61% range in those students in those top 3 bands. By grade level, this is showing 6th through 10th grades and then our district average. We do assess 5th graders at the winter window to give us an ISASS predictor because that is the first time they take the state assessment, but we don't assess them currently at the spring window, so that is why they are not included in this data set. This is pretty typical where we see fairly steady achievement with the exception of 6th grade. And we talked a little bit about some areas for growth and opportunity in elementary to help them be set up for success in 6th grade. Again, working on our transition plan with that 5th to 6th grade as well. And then 7th grade being our highest performing is consistent with last year's data as well. And then this teal line is showing that comparison to those fall scores by grade level. We did see slight decreases across each grade level with that exception of 7th grade. And again, that greatest decrease at 6th grade. So we have some next steps to continue making progress on our goals. The first is ongoing MTSS implementation and support. So when we think about those multi-tiered systems of support in the academic area, we have universal, targeted, and intensive. And we have focused a lot of energy on universal, and we are going to continue to focus on universal because we know that that is where we are going to get the greatest gains. But we are also going to be aligning those targeted supports and shifting some focus to really make sure those those targeted supports and enrichment opportunities are meeting the needs for those students where the universal is not quite enough. In addition to that, we are consistently reviewing and making revisions to our curriculum maps. As I mentioned earlier, we did implement new elementary ELA curriculum this year. At the end of each unit, we gather feedback from teachers and make revisions for the following year while it's still fresh and while we get that feedback as they've been living it. So we were able to make some adjustments to the core pathway that we think will have some great benefits for our students and teachers. And then additionally, we worked through some curriculum updates with our science standards and realignment with our middle school changes. Another big piece is leveraging collaborative teams to plan and respond to student needs. So we know that there's a lot of power in teachers learning from one another, digging into data, and making adjustments to their instruction in response to that. So we are going to continue the work in that area. And aligned with that, we have some great Summer Academy professional learning on collaboration, collaborative teams, and that PLC process. And we'll have some great speakers coming in, keynote speakers, who will also do some breakout sessions in that area. Additionally, we are continuing professional learning standard alignment and support for universal science instruction. I mentioned earlier that that is an area that we need to give a little more time and attention to, and we've already begun plans on that and started that work this spring. And then finally, we are re-engineering our learning walks based on feedback from principals and teachers so that we can really involve teachers more in the process of sharing their implementation journey, what's going well in their schools, where they see a need for some support as we are working through that process with them. And so we're excited for those changes and how that can support school improvement and give teachers and schools feedback on their school improvement plans and processes. So with that, I will take any questions you may have.
Just one quick, first off, I mean, it's really exciting to see the continued growth in math and in reading. That was great, especially that, I think the stat, I think I remember seeing this on the last presentation, that from like 2018 to now, it's like almost a 10% growth in math. So I find that really interesting, especially compared, with our other statistics. Have we looked at our scores compared with some of the other districts around to see a comparison of if they've seen, either similar growth in that area or if we're really standing out with our math curriculum?
So I'm not aware of other districts in the area who are administering MAP. We have choices with which screeners we administer,
right,
and
yeah.
most of them are using FAST from what I know. So I don't have that comparison data.
I forgot about that. Yeah, thank you. Okay, that was my only question.
Anything else from the board? Thank you, Dr. Matthews.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. Before we switch to the next one, I do want to take a minute to thank our teachers and staff who work daily with our students. It's because of their work we get to present the good news and talk about the growth of our students. But it is what happens in the classroom, and I couldn't be prouder of every one of our teachers that have impacted the students' lives and led us to this place that we are able to sit here and continue to monitor and see the growth. And our principals have done an exceptional job stepping up and working with our teachers and supporting them in the classroom. And Ms. Comine and Mr. Schultz and Dr. Matthews, the work you do with schools around the academic area is second to none. So thank you for your work. And now I'd like to invite, okay, I got to see which one, Ms. Comine to share with us a little bit about our 2024 graduates. I thought the board would like to kind of see which pathways they all landed in, how many students graduated with our new 3 tiers of a diploma. So really excited to share this news. So Ms. Comine, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo, and thank you, board. I am super excited to present data and information on our 2024 graduates tonight. And tonight's presentation will focus on District Strategic Goal 2, which guarantees each graduate is future ready. Strategic Goal 2 measures the percentage of students in each class who graduate and earn a high school diploma and second credential. Our students have continued to meet this goal every year. You can see that last year's goal was met with 81% of our graduates earning a second credential. You can also see that our 2024 graduates met this goal, and I am really excited to share that percentage with you later in my presentation. And then, of course, the goal for the 2025 graduates is set at 90% of our graduates earning a high school diploma and second credential, which will continue to stretch us to ensure and guarantee that each student is future ready. There are 3 system-wide strategies we use to guarantee each graduate is future ready. The first strategy is our On Track to Diploma +1, which encompasses all students kindergarten through 12th grade. Our on-track data metrics and indicators drive many areas of achievement. They also set the expectations and conditions for all of our stakeholders to ensure that students are on track as they matriculate from kindergarten through 12th grade and earn their high school diploma and second credential. The second strategy is our Diploma +1 pathways and opportunities. All of our pathways and opportunities have on-ramps and off-ramps that allow students the flexibility to make choices and to allow them to access numerous post-secondary opportunities and options. In addition, all of the pathways and opportunities are high skill, they're livable wage, and in-demand college and career areas. The third strategy is our 3-tier diploma approach to graduation. This is the first year we've offered this approach. Thank you to you for approving that policy. The 3 diploma approach options are the traditional diploma, which is the diploma most students will graduate with, the core diploma for those students with extenuating circumstances, and the honors diploma that reflects a more rigorous course of study and overall credits earned. As a result of these 3 strategies, I am excited to report that we have not only met our goal this year, but we have exceeded District Strategic Goal 2, with 87% of our 2024 graduates earning a high school diploma and second credential. And this percentage does include our May and summer graduates. We have so much to celebrate in our 2024 graduating class. Not only did 87% of them graduate and earn a second credential, they earned a total of 808 total credentials as a graduating class, meaning many to most of them earned more than 1 credential. At this time, I'm excited to share some highlights from each of our Diplomas +1 pathways and opportunities. Our Seal by Literacy results remain strong. It is a rigorous credential that recognizes a person's proficiency in 2 or more languages. It prepares students for the future. It demonstrates skills to colleges and provides access to career opportunities. We also continue to have amazing success in our Early College Academy, with this year's class earning $9.6 million worth of scholarships. We also celebrated our second Gates Scholarship winner for a second year in a row. The Gates Scholarship is a rigorous scholarship where 53,000 students apply nationwide, and only 750 students receive this scholarship across the country. The scholarship covers the full cost of attendance to any 4-year college or university across the country. In our College Credit Acceleration pathway, the number of students earning 24 or more college credits grew this year. Of these 86 students, 6 students earned an associate's degree and 13 students earned a STEM concentrator. I am so proud of the growth in our Career and Academic Pathway program. Not only did this pathway continue to grow in the number of students earning a second credential, but we are celebrating some new firsts in this pathway this year. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time talking about this pathway. We had our first student in CAP finish an associate's degree this year. And this IT student earned their Associate of Applied Science degree in computer programming with over 66 college credit hours. And this student was also an IT intern in Council Bluffs at ESC this past spring semester. We also started our aviation pathway this year at Abraham Lincoln High School, where 4 seniors graduated with their FAA Part 107 certification. And these students are now able to legally operate and fly drones for commercial purposes anywhere in the United States. We also celebrated our first 2 students who earned their business administration certificate. This is the second year we offered this certificate, and it currently takes 2 years for our students to earn the certificate at Iowa Western Community College. Moving forward, this certificate will be more accessible to our students as we will be able to offer for the first time next year concurrent enrollment courses in business and introduction to business at both of our high schools. And this will allow our students to take foundational courses in business administration and allow us to grow our pathway and offer that faster rather than waiting 2 years. We continue to have success. We continue to have success in growing. We continue to have success in growing our own in the area of early childhood education. We had 6 early childhood diploma earners this year, and 3 of those students are currently working in our elementary summer school program at Longfellow Elementary as paid interns. And 2 of the 6 graduates also completed the U.S. Department of Labor's Early Childhood Education Registered Apprenticeships. In the area of culinary, our seniors more than doubled the completion rate from 5 to 12 by obtaining their culinary food service technician certificate. And in the area of health sciences, our CNA program continues to be a strong program of completers, with students moving on to 2- and 4-year colleges. Our ACT National Career Readiness Certificate and the Transition Alliance Program Workplace Credential continues to grow and provide our students with a credential that reflects competency in the area of literacy, mathematics, and workplace skills. Our TradeWorks Academy at both high schools continues to be a very popular choice. Enrollment is always full at both high schools. With the addition of the OSHA 10, the number of students earning their first credential has grown. We have an increase in students earning a credential through TradeWorks at Iowa Western Community College as well. We had more welders who completed credentials this year, and Iowa Western Community College added a new plumbing academy where we had 4 students earn their plumbing certificate. Iowa Western Community College recently procured an HVAC instructor to teach next year, and we look forward to offering HVAC as an opportunity to our students who are interested. And finally, we had an increase in students in taking and earning their JROTC leadership credential. This increase was due to the number of students who were interested in earning this credential as part of their JROTC courses and post-secondary journey. So our graduating class of 2024 is to be commended for their focus, their dedication, and success in earning numerous sector credentials within our Diploma Plus One pathways and opportunities. Finally, our 3-tiered diploma approach to graduation in alignment with Board Policy 625 allowed the following 2024 graduates to earn one of the following 3 diplomas. 461 students earned a traditional diploma. This is the diploma that is designed to meet the needs of most students, and the majority of our students graduated with a traditional diploma. 37 students earned a core diploma. This diploma reflects an alternative option for students who need to meet graduation requirements in a differentiated manner due to extenuating circumstances and while considering individual hardships. And 43 students earned an honors diploma in its first year. This diploma reflects a more rigorous option that requires an increase in math courses, required elective credits, and successfully earning at least 8 credits in advanced placement courses, which include advanced placement and concurrent enrollment courses. All 3 of these diploma options exceed the state of Iowa graduation requirements and include Diploma Plus One pathways and opportunities for all of our graduates and students. So in closing, I am proud to share that our 2024 graduating class took full advantage of more choices, more opportunities, and more ways to succeed, and they are to be celebrated. Any questions?
Can you remind us what the credit requirements are for the state, for the traditional, for the core, and the honors?
I can tell you what ours are, and then I might have to ask Dr. Matthews to help with the states because we do exceed them. So for a traditional diploma, students earn anywhere from 46 to 58 credits. For a core diploma, they earn anywhere from 38 to 45 credits. And for an honors diploma, they earn 58 or more credits, and then they have to have that criteria as well.
I think the state is at 34. 34. So we're still exceeding the minimum requirement.
Yes,
for
we do.
graduation.
All three of our options exceed the state graduation requirements.
I'm just so thankful that we offer that core diploma for those students. That's 37 students graduated with a diploma from Council Bluffs Schools because it's the right thing to do. It is. It's the right thing to do. If the state says 34 is what is required, then we should at least come some way closer, because normally we were 46 for the traditional. Those students that are just moving into our community and getting familiar with our district, or those students that have health issues or any of those complications to their lives, that they're not going to be held back now. I mean, now they have a diploma that means something, and that I'm grateful for the board to have forethought and vision that we need to meet those students where they are, and it's evident that we are. We're meeting their needs.
Related to that, I know we talked about this last year when we first voted on the core diploma, but just kind of a reminder for the public as far as like for a student to get into that core diploma, there has to be, cooperation, between, the district and also, the students and the parents as well. This isn't, like a category that a student, goes unwillingly into. It's something that they sign up for.
Right. So our process is, we don't even look at a core diploma until a student's second semester of their junior year. And one little caveat before I tell you the rest of the process is, even if you are somebody who is working towards a core diploma, and we had that situation this year, we don't stop them. They continue to gain credits, and we had one student who we thought was going to be a core diploma, and they ended up with a traditional diploma. But what happens is, it can be the second semester of their junior year or their senior year. That process is initiated by the school. It's usually a team of people, the teachers, the counselors, as well as the administration, and they take a look at the extenuating circumstances, individual hardships that a student and their family may be experiencing, and they submit an application. And then the application is pretty lengthy, and then Dr. Matthews, Mr. Hamilton, and myself receive the application. And we make a determination at that time if that is somebody that we would like to extend a core diploma to. And if the answer is yes, then the school reaches out to the family and they have a sit-down conversation. It's basically a revisit of their 4-year plan, their diploma plus one option, and also what their plan is for post-secondary. And I kind of just read through all of the descriptions real quickly in case this question was asked. And here are the themes of the students that would have received a core diploma. Majority of them was in re-engagement in school because they had already dropped, they were really close to dropping, or they were not attending school. And this would allow us to bring them back to school, have a plan, and they felt hope. That's the piece that I kept hearing from principals, the counselors, and teachers, that some of the students, they felt like they were so far behind, they could never catch up and graduate. And so they could actually felt like this was tangible, this was doable. So they saw that spark and motivation. We also do have high mobility. And so many of our students who transferred in from outside of the district or outside of our state came severely credit deficient. And so we took a look at that. I mean, it's not uncommon sometimes for us to receive a student in their sophomore or junior year that is not in even double-digit credits. And so that was helpful for that. And then, of course, you had mentioned it already, Mr. Kozar, that unfortunately we have some students who are suffering from some various health conditions and medical conditions where they need some of that support or some home support for different reasons.
I just want to, again, commend the district and the staff. You guys stepped up on this goal number 2 and really hit it out of the park. I mean, we are definitely guaranteeing our students are future ready, and we have the numbers to back that up. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Comine, and thank you for your work with the secondary schools. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Tim Hamilton to the podium, and he has with them our 2 ADs from AL and Thomas Jefferson, or TJ. And their report is going to be, we have an annual report that we've kind of just continued to do every summer around our extra and co-curricular activities and how the work is going at the 2 high schools. So, Mr. Hamilton, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Dr. Murillo, on board. Before I start, I want to recognize you're going to see some pictures in here. These are all of our students doing activities, and we have a great department, our communication department, with Diane and Bryce taking pictures. So truly, I stole these pictures off of Facebook, where there are thousands and thousands of pictures of our students doing all of these activities. So kudos to her department. When we look at the extra and co-curricular annual report, we are looking at goal 4, which is to ensure each student is supported and connected. We know, and all the research out there shows, that students who are supported and connected, who are involved with extra and co-curricular activities, have higher academic achievement, have higher attendance rate, and they just have a higher sense of engagement in their academic school day. Our data point on this is to have 75% of our secondary students participate in an extra or co-curricular activities. We look at these 3 different groups when we look at these students. We look at our sanctioned athletics teams like football, basketball, bowling, golf, cross country, those sports you see there. Our extra and co-curricular activities like drama, robotics, Special Olympics, yearbook, NHS. And then our 21st Century Clubs, which I didn't list all of the 21st Century Clubs. We had about 50 of them this year. We get the luxury of 21st Century Clubs. It's really based upon staff desires and student desires of what clubs that they want, and we're really unlimited of what we can do. We have a few listed there. My very favorite one that I hear about every year, which I would never be part of, is our paranormal club, where they actually go out ghost hunting like you see on TV, and they've been to several different areas, several different buildings within the area, and did some ghost hunting. I told them I would never go with them. So when we talk about having extra and co-curricular activities, it's great that we have the activities, but really we need to have the facilities where kids want to come and they want to be. So I included this year just some of the things we've done in the last few years with our facilities and some of the things that we have planned. As you all know, our middle schools are state-of-the-art. When they were designed, band, choir, music, they were designed to do what they're doing in those buildings. Several buildings you see in other districts, they're just putting them in places. We have specifically designed places. We've been thoughtful under Dr. Murillo's leadership of looking at this because we know this draws students to our district and it keeps them staying here. So I've put a list up there. Some of the ones that we're really excited about is the TJAC entrance that's being done this summer, and of course the brand new video board that you all voted on last board meeting, I believe, that's coming and will start progressing actually in July. One of the other things that the district has really led is we looked at our culture, and we want our kids to feel a sense of pride, and we want them to feel when they're at College View or at Franklin, we want them to be future Lynx and future Jackets. So we went to Ohio West, and they were gracious enough to provide us some funding to do a grant to work with Time 42 Coaching, which is Mike Lucas and DJ Rizak. They've worked with both of our schools, and they're going to give you more information about that, but really focusing on these 3 areas. Building a culture of inclusivity, accountability, and pride. We want all kids to feel like they can do any activity at our buildings. Establishing cohesiveness and consistency. How can the district support schools with what they're doing? And how do schools, if one coach has it really figured out, let's use what they know so all programs can benefit. Programs meaning sports, sponsors, band, choir, all those things. And then really identifying the strengths and celebrations. You're going to hear some awesome things that we've had happen this last year within our school district. We as a district and them as schools and us as parents need to do a better job of really celebrating that and letting people know about all the great things going on in our schools. So with that, I will invite Mr. Novotny from Abraham Lincoln to come and give you a little report about what he's done. And please remember, I think I said this, but maybe not, we gave you a very comprehensive report. It's in your board packet that went over every season and everything. So you should have that. Mr. Novotny.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Jeff Novotny at Abraham Lincoln High School. I asked him if I could go over all like 14 pages, and he said no. So, you know, as a former math teacher, there's two things. I love to talk and I love numbers. So, you know, I could talk about numbers all day, which this is what this report's about. Abraham Lincoln High School, just to sum it up, 821 students participated in one of those activities Tim just described. But when I look at that number, I actually look at the opposite number, about the 400 kids who aren't participating. I think I told you that at this meeting last year. So really analyzing how do we reach those 400? Because these 821 kids have a caring adult, maybe more than one caring adult, and they are connected to school. That percentage puts us right about 69.28%, which compared to last year's within a couple tenths. So we're pretty steady there. One highlight of our participation is boys wrestling. They gained 14 participants, almost doubled their numbers. They're doing an excellent job, and also had an incredible year. A couple really big highlights are our all-state recognitions. We honored one soccer player tonight, but we had a vocal musician this last fall. We had a couple individual and large group speech members that were all state, and then Molly Romano the last fall in volleyball. Those were our all-state participants. One thing when you look at that report, you know, after we get it done, that's pretty much my month of June, I try to analyze it a lot. You might see individually in each sport or in each activity, numbers went down. So I look at that and then I think, well, our percentage stayed the same. What happened there? So two things I'd like to point out to you. Our senior participation, I think there were 127 seniors, which was only 18% of our population that were out for a sport. And that's pretty natural, talking to other schools, other ADs, that as athletes or as musicians or people in activities, as you get older and you try to specialize what you're doing, you know, a freshman that was out for 3 or 4 or 5 different things at AL might only be out for maybe 1 or 2 things. So it's not hurting our overall percentage, but, you know, decreasing some of our numbers. Tim hit on this, and this is probably the most exciting part of the 5 minutes I'm going to talk. You know, I was real thankful. When you talk about sports or activities, you do not have a lot of professional development. You know, they're teachers first, so they get pulled in a lot of directions there. So getting all of my coaches, all of our sponsors, everybody that was really an extra and co-curricular in one room, working with DJ and Mike this last late winter and spring. I think we met a total of 4 times for about an hour and a half each, and having them just communicate with one another. Just talk to one another. What's going great in your program? What are your struggles? What things do we really need to focus on? At Abraham Lincoln, our coaches came up with these 3 points. So I almost think about it as D+1. When we started D+1 4 years ago, you would ask a lot of people, what is that? They probably couldn't give you an answer. This first year, when we talk about our culture rings at AL, they might not be able to give you an answer, even though we're doing great things in these areas. But right now, it's going to be an overall picture of Abraham Lincoln activities. So here, this year, following years, whether you go to an elementary school, whether you go to a middle school, talk to a parent, talk to a community member, they'll be able to tell you, well, if you're involved in Abraham Lincoln activities, character, community, and work. Some other focuses for this next year, really excited about our performance team. You know, one thing as an AD, I'm always thinking about how do we get better, you know, and you always go specifically to the sport or the activity. Well, we got to dribble the ball, or we have to shoot better, or we have to be better musicians. Well, one thing I notice is that sometimes when we're going up against some of these schools in the biggest class in Iowa, because that's what we're competing against, the suburbs of Des Moines, you know, there are a lot of really good athletes out there, and sometimes, you know, it almost looks like an uneven playing field. So we need to do something about that. We can't make that as an excuse. So having a strength and conditioning coach this next year who's going to organize, and we've already made huge strides this summer with it. I just met with our gentleman running it, and he's just bragging it up to me, the strides our student athletes are making this summer. Overall unity, that's going to be great. And our athletic trainer, Melissa, now being a school district employee, you know, she is going to be very proactive in that realm instead of reactive. You know, before it was so-and-so got hurt, so you run out there, you try to fix them. You know, now it's nutrition, it's going to be sleep, it's going to be all those things that make healthy athletes, not just dealing with injuries. So those two working together, and the way I'm going to describe it to my parents, you're going to be the first that hear it, is that when you sign up to be a tennis player, you really have 2 or 3 head coaches, not only your tennis coach, but you also have your strength and conditioning coach, and you also have your athletic trainer, and those 3 people are going to work together to make you the best that you can be. And then youth programming, I think it's been on my slide for 12 straight years, or however long we've been presenting. It's essential. We keep trying to get better at it. One highlight for youth program this year is we finally got our youth football kind of going in the right direction with Alpha. Hopefully you've heard of the Alpha acronym, Abraham Lincoln Youth Football. So a good group of community parents, future links, and our head coach really going above and beyond trying to make opportunities for our youth. Another thing that pops in my head is our 3 music directors really pushing to make it a 7-12 program, so getting into the middle schools. Our new choir director's already been down to Kern, not even on the job yet, so really trying to make youth programming a priority. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Luke Peterson.
Good evening. I'd like to just say ditto, but I'm going to add a few more things. Because a lot of the things that we do are very similar at both schools, but the schools, as you know, are a little bit different. And we like to really make sure that we cater to what we have at Thomas Jefferson. Going off on that, we had 721 students that participated in at least one. That puts our percentage at somewhere around 66%. And one thing that's different from Thomas Jefferson than Abraham Lincoln is that I have a very strong core group of students that kind of do everything, that really want to stay at the school 24/7, which is great, and they kind of go all the way through their senior year. So what we're really trying to work on when we talk that, I'll talk about that in a moment, is really building that core group. That's what we're looking at. We did have, for those of you that are on social media, heard we had a very good record-setting boys basketball season. Season high wins at 18. It was the first time that Thomas Jefferson actually hosted a sub-state basketball game, because all of the years past where they even had one, it was held at AL because the old field house wasn't big enough. So that was the first time we had that. We were at full capacity. We also had a single game scoring record at 51 points. That was a long-standing record from 1973. We had multiple all-conference district athletes in football, basketball, and soccer. We had an individual state bowling champion, Kendall Bell, all state awards in speech, chorus, and girls soccer, and our robotics team was in the prestigious Worlds Tournament. We also had just great growth in all of our fine arts programs, including, all of our chorus, our band. Our band is growing bigger. Taylor Wood is doing a great job of just getting kids into the program. I just talked with her today. We have 23 incoming freshmen that are in, and there's actually about 6 more that she's working on that she had when she was at Wilson, because she would take the last period of the day, go to Wilson and work with those kids, the same as Mr. Walker did. So we're really impressed with that and hoping the growth continues. Working with our culture piece, we expanded ours a little bit as well, not to just our activities people, but to all the people in the building. We wanted to include everybody, and really what it came up to was pride in and of itself, participation, respect, integrity, dedication, and effort. Ours is in the classroom and in the athletics and activities arena. We want kids to participate in class. We want them to respect their teachers and officials. Integrity of doing the right thing, all these things that we want to have them do as a regular, if you want to say, school citizen during the day, but also after school and these activities that they take place in. So we really are stressing that. That is something that our school has had for a while, but it kind of was in the background with a lot of the turnover that they had in years past. It kind of fell, but it came back, and I think that the staff is really behind it. And like Mr. Novotny said, anything that we do with our coaches and our sponsors moving forward is going to be based on this. And it's going to be the same thing. It's participation, respect, integrity, dedication, and effort. That's where we're at. So that's what we stress with that. I know that Mr. Novotny said it, and I've said it this is my 3rd year, expansion of youth programming. It's important. We have to continue to do it. With the way that the world is and all these activities that kids can do, we want to make sure that they have a place at Thomas Jefferson to be able to do that. We also have bolstered up our football program with the Colts organization, which is a great alignment for us. But we also did pilot a youth program in girls basketball with my new basketball coach. We are going to move that into boys basketball, also into volleyball. We've also talked about that in the fine arts with choir and with band as well, doing something with the elementary students at these schools that feed into us to help with that. And then also the community that we have on the West End for TJ has been there a long time. There's a lot of pride that's there. There's a lot of people that went to Thomas Jefferson High School that still live in the area and are very, very successful, and we want to get more support from them and get them involved into things. I think it's important for our students and athletes to see them and to say, hey, I was where you know, they can identify and connect with them to be able to say, I can do the same thing. Also the same as we have at Abraham Lincoln is the implementation of the athletic program performance team, which is going to be great with that strength coach and our athletic trainer working together. We had a meeting with them yesterday, and really the idea of getting, like Mr. Novotny said, the whole picture for the whole athlete, whether that's nutrition, their sleep cycles, whatever it happens to be, something that's proactive instead of just being reactive. We're hoping that that does. Many of you know my track coach, Bob Nielsen, who's been around for a few years, if you didn't know. We went to the state track meet with some of those students that you saw here tonight, and that was the first thing he pulled me aside. He said, look at these other athletes that we're running against. Look at these, you know, they just look so much different than ours did, physically. Strength, you know, and the way that it looked. And so those are things that we need to work on. And our students can do it. We can do it. I have no problem doing it. It's just the idea of getting them into a program, getting it so that they are realizing gains that they've not had before. So those are the focuses that we have. I know Mr. Hamilton was going to finish up here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I really have to rein these guys in because they're going to come and talk about their programmings and what's going on at their buildings for hours. So I have to say, like, be succinct. Go. So I'm really proud of them because if you talk about people that are in buildings and out in the community, if you go to any event, you're going to see Mr. Peterson and Mr. Novotny there, and they're giving up time from their family and doing a lot of hard work for our district. So I really appreciate their efforts. So just a little bit in summary, looking at our extra and co-curricular activities, we're really focusing on providing the facilities that are wonderful, that kids want to be in. We want to provide a culture where kids want to participate, and really honestly, the coaches want to participate. There's something to celebrate. The youth programming, we're not talking just sports. They both mentioned how our band and choir programs are going down into the middle schools. Again, we want kids when they're in our elementaries and when they're in our middle schools to not be able to say anything except I'm going to be a Lynx or I'm going to be a Jacket next year. That's really important to us. And then really that engagement. We offer lots of opportunities for kids, whether it's doing strength and conditioning, summer programming for band, summer programming for choir. Getting them engaged in something is really important to us. And with that, we will take any questions that you may have.
I just want to commend all the work that the district is doing for all the extracurricular activities and sports programs, especially how Goal 3 is being supported with the transitions from students. I know that my kids had sports players visit their elementary school. I know that my son had musicians visit the middle school. And I also like how all of the different activities are kind of coming together. Like the middle school band played for the Special Olympics students when they got back. And I think that the development of a real sense of community, I feel it, and I hope everyone else feels it too. So I've been really impressed as my kids get older. I know this has probably been going on for a long time, but I really appreciate all the work that everyone is putting into that. So thank you.
I just want to say, as somebody who has a background in integrative health and wellness, that I think it's great. We're going to start young with the performance teams about how important it is to look at your holistic health rather than the reactiveness. So the more proactive we can be, that's great. But also, like you mentioned, that can help us be on the same level, if not above, some of those state competitors too, which is just amazing to hear. It's all exciting things.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right.
That completes our report. Thank you, Mr. Tripp.
Well, thank you, everybody, for those fantastic presentations. Clearly, we are hitting our goals and surpassing them even, so fantastic work again. Not to put a downside on this meeting, but we've come to our resolutions. It's less exciting, but has to be done. So, first up, we have approval of administrative regulations. Is there a motion?
Yep.
Am I in the wrong one? Which one am I in?
No, just click on it.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh, this is mine. Okay. Ooh, I move that the board approves these administrative regulations as presented. These require only one reading for the board's approval, and they are 402.1, accountability for testing integrity, 405.1, harassment complaint procedure, 405.2, harassment complaint form, 405.3, witness disclosure form, 424.1, application for family and medical leave of absence, 506.1, homeless children and youth regulation, 511.1, student suspension and expulsion regulation, 511.2, corporal punishment and physical restraint, 516.1, communicable disease chart, 516.2, diseases reportable to Iowa Department of Public Health, 520.1, CBCSD request to release records, 520.2, official request for record of suspension or expulsion regarding student, 520.3, notification of rights under FERPA for elementary and secondary institutions, 520.4, student library circulation records, and 911.1, relations with parent organizations regulation.
Thank you, Angela. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I will second.
Perfect. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding these regulations?
Could we possibly really quick, just kind of for the public, talk through kind of the difference between these regulations versus our typical policy that we do readings on?
Yes, the policies are really the, what we are supposed to do as, as a legal entity on behalf of the different categories, from students to staff to education program. And then the regulations are really the how we do it, the procedures that people follow in order to take the steps necessary to implement the policy.
Looking through these, what I'm seeing the most is just changes in verbiage and updates to policy based on what the state has updated at their level. Is there any, nothing else that's been a major outstanding changes? It's just updating with the times.
I had a few little things that Ms. Ostrowski and I talked about beforehand, and one was in 2 CFR Part 200, Subpart D, subsection 200.321, in the second paragraph, it states, "The district will include the following provisions in all procurement contracts or purchase orders, include the following provisions when applicable." So include the following provisions is in there twice, and we talked about taking out the second statement of that.
Okay, thank you. Which code was, I'm sorry.
2 CFR Part 200, Subpart D, subsection 200 point, oh no, that's the other, no, I'm sorry. 2 CFR Part 200, Subpart D, subsection 200.321 in the second paragraph.
It's page 38 on the PDF that we have. So. Yeah, it's from code 713.1, I think, page 2, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Greiner. Is there anything else?
Not from me.
All right, well, if we were going to make any changes, a new motion will have to be made with the amendment, won't they?
No, it's just cleaning up the language. I don't think it requires.
Nothing
It doesn't
major,
rise to.
nothing substantive.
We're not substantially changing anything other than correcting grammatical errors.
There was one other teensy tiny change under IASB Model Policy 713. Under goods and services, the second bullet point had $2 signs before
And again, it's just
225,000.
cleaning
Yep,
up.
yep, so they're just little.
Yeah, doesn't rise to the occasion.
Thank you for the sharp eye, Mrs. Greiner. We appreciate that. And since these are just grammatical and not substantive, we do not need to motion for any amendment. So if there is no further discussion from the board?
No.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Ostrowski, please call the roll.
Mrs. Greiner.
Yes.
Dr. Ozello.
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes, the motion carries. Next up, we have a resolution regarding professional growth systems. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the professional growth systems for certified staff, building administrators, central office administrators, and the superintendent as presented.
I second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding professional growth systems? Yes, there is a note that the professional growth systems are remaining the same as the previous year. All right, no further discussion. Mrs. Straussky, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Peters? Oh, excuse me, Ms. Greiner?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
And Mr. Tripp?
Yes, the motion carries. Next resolution we have is revisions to the employee handbook.
I move that the board approves the employee handbook revisions as presented.
I will second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion regarding these revisions?
Just, I commend the Labor Management Committee for, getting together and agreeing to these changes. I think this is good. It looks like it's mostly just clarity and for accuracy, but it's good to see.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Mrs. Straussky, please call the roll.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes, and the motion carries. Next up, we have the superintendent's contract.
I move that the board approves the continuation of the superintendent's employment contract with the Council Bluffs Community School District as presented.
Second?
Thank you. A motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the superintendent contract? Mrs. Straussky, please call the roll.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes. And Dr. Murillo, we have you for 3 more years. Thank you. The motion carries. Next up, we have a resolution regarding a 2024-2025 bread bid.
I will move that we approve the bid from Rotella's Italian Bakery to provide bread and other bread products for the 24-25 school year in the amount of $76,218.10.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding our bread and other bread products?
My son was really excited about this, so.
Rotella's fantastic. All right, no other discussion. Ms. Ostrowski, please call our roll.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes, and the motion carries. Last on our resolution list is a resolution regarding Ortho Nebraska agreements. Do we have a motion?
I can move that the board approves the Ortho Nebraska agreements as presented.
Thank you. Ms.
I will second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? I will add that the agreement provides the district $20,000 annually for 2 years for advertising Ortho Nebraska. This is an agreement that we have made in place of Jenny Edmondson handling our sports training. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I just want to thank Jenny Edmondson and the years that they were able to provide our athletic trainers, and they did that at no cost to the district. And like everyone, budgets get tight and programs you have to look at, what can you continue to do? And they were not only providing that service for us, but many districts around us. And so they came and spoke to us, and I just can't say enough nice things and what that did for our school community. And moving now to this relationship with Ortho Nebraska, Tim's done a great job working on this contract for us. And what they want to do is, we could hire the trainers, as you saw, but it allowed us to pivot and shift and get into that kind of holistic kind of performance. And then, but it also gave us somebody to do the professional development. That was our greatest concern, is how will we help them keep their credentials current, get the professional development, and they're going to take on that for us. And in doing that, they also wanted to contribute back to the school district, which will be able to use this funds to put their name up on our new scoreboard. So they will be a donor for each year, and that's for, how many years did they agree to do that? For at
2
least
years.
2 years. So we really appreciate the partnership we formed. And what we did learn from the hospital is many of our students went to Ortho, Nebraska if there was a big injury. So it almost connects us to where the parents were taking their children or being referred to. So I feel really good about the shift, but I still want to make sure that we do not dismiss all the years that Jenny Edmondson supported our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo, and thank you again, Jenny Edmondson, for all the service you provided. Just for clarity, I do want to point out that this resolution does have two separate agreements. The first agreement is the sports medicine agreement, providing sports medicine services and oversight with the athletic trainers. The second agreement is the marketing agreement, which provides the district $20,000 annually for advertising Ortho Nebraska. Anything further from the board?
The sports medicine services agreement, that's for 1 year, correct? Yes. Okay.
All right. Ms. Ostrowski, please call the roll.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Greiner?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes, and the motion carries. Last up, we have our consent agenda, which consists of appointment of level 1 investigators and complaint officers, a student fee schedule for the year, public record fees, community agency school-based therapy MOUs, Edgenuity renewal for the 2024-25 year, annual renewal of 1-to-1 Plus, renewal of American Digital Security, renewal of Nutanix Prism and AOS Pro, renewal of 5-Star Dashboard and Data Analytics, special education contract with Mason City Community Schools, our personnel agenda, financials, and disbursements for the month of May. Is there a motion?
I move approval of our consent agenda.
Second?
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion in regards to our consent agenda? There is none. Mrs. Strowski, please call the roll.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Ms. Greiner?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes, and the motion carries.